So as you guys know by now, Kelly and I are basically the kings of Game Boy. We have launched a Game Boy franchise, which Kelly is the mascot of, taking over the entire Game Boy space, obviously. We're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep pumping out games in the Slapdash franchise. We've already laid out a previous episode how phase one of the Slapdash universe, the SDU or Slapaverse for short, is going to go. We know you guys are excited, but one of the things that we've wanted to do, or I've definitely wanted to do, is play Slapdash on original hardware. Now, this has proven to be a little bit of an issue. Flash cartridges don't work well with the way that Slapdash was programmed because it was programmed from scratch and it used memory bank swapping, which is similar to how early Game Boy games were done before they came out with larger cartridge sizes. So there's some issues with the current flash cartridges, but it seems like it's going to work with an EverDrive cartridge. By the time you guys are watching this, I will have my EverDrive cartridge, so I'll know for sure, and you'll know in a future episode. But as of now, it seems like that's going to work. From all the literature I've read on the EverDrive cartridges, the particular PCB that was programmed to does recognize that on the EverDrive. So now I need an actual physical Game Boy. Now Kelly has one. Do you want to share that with us, sorry, so you can be the first prop of the show?
That's right. So here we go. Red Game Boy Color, non-backlit screen.
So non-backlit, which I'll get to in a second.
Tremendously not backlit.
Tremendous. It's basically black. It's dark. It's turned off. As we've discussed on this show, the only problem with this plan is the Game Boys are made out of gold and magic and beer, and they cost $500 now. So even original hardware Game Boys are starting to really creep up in price. They are far more than they were their original launch prices. So I wasn't super excited about buying a Game Boy, but I was weighing my different options. I was probably going to go the DK Horties route. Again, kind of on the expensive side. I did look at Amazon. Amazon has refurbished consoles that they sell now through the Amazon Renewed program. And I've mostly been ignoring that for everything because I don't know if you guys have caught any of their renewed prices, but they're up there. Have you looked at any of that stuff, Kelly?
I have not yet, although there's no virtual boys out there, are there?
Not that I saw, no.
Yeah. They'd have to be furbished to be refurbished. So I can imagine.
So I did check out the renewed stuff, and I happened upon in the renewed section a my one of my favorite colors, atomic purple, naturally occurring colors. Atomic purple Game Boy Color was for sale, and it was for a pretty reasonable price. It was just under $100, and it just so happened that I had a bunch of credits because on Prime Day I ordered a lot of stuff for the house because I'm old now. So I ordered a bunch of stuff for my house, and the orders got all screwed up. Some of the stuff still isn't here yet. Some of the stuff was sent incorrectly. So Amazon, to appease me, because I order everything through Amazon, to appease me, gave me a bunch of credits. So with those credits and the sub $100 price on this, I was able to get this at a shockingly good price for what game compared to what Game Boys are going for right now. And I'll show that to you guys here. You can see atomic purple, nature's greatest color. So this arrived smaller than I remember Game Boys being in my big monster hands. Um, but everything was great. I didn't know what to expect. I was reading a lot of these renewed reviews, and one person be like, 5 stars. This looks like it's brand new. I don't understand how this is used. The next person would be like, I got a box of broken plastic pieces. and, and it doesn't even look like Game Boy pieces. So, I mean, it was all over the place. So I've learned some stuff through this ordeal, which I'll lay out for you guys. So this came in great shape. It is very clean, almost too clean. When I was first looking at it, I had to really inspect it to find a couple little scratch marks to feel confident that this wasn't like some knockoff game that they were sending me. Like somebody just like switched out the screen cover on an Ambernick and saying that instead. But there is a few little scratches and stuff, mostly on the back. It does have a new screen protector that was put on there because there is no marks at all on that. So everything looks really good. It plays well. It is not backlit. And man, do I forget how bad that is. because it's been a while since I played something that wasn't backlit because we live, in the future where everything is great and we aren't necessarily going back to those Stone Age times, the before times. But man, not backlit is rough. So
Yeah.
you playing your Game Boy, sir, how's that for
So,
you?
so we got into, so had, I thought there was still a Game Boy kicking around here somewhere, but I had no idea where it was at. So eventually unearthed it, and thank God it wasn't stored with batteries in it. So didn't have to deal with that. And but then I said, well, let's just see if this thing works. So popped in a cartridge, popped in some fresh batteries, and I'm like, oh crap, the screen's burnt out. It's like it works, but boy, I can barely see it. And then I was like, oh wait, no, this is it. This is as bright as it gets,
This is it. This is
which
what it
was
looks like.
very dismaying. So I was able to find there's like lots of nice gear with the Game Boy. Some things I'll have to check out, like the Game Boy camera. So
Ooh,
that'll be kind of fun. We'll probably be shooting most of our shows on that in the future. And then what was a must-have for the non-backlit is the Game Boy Light. And this bad boy, you're not familiar, would pop into the side there, and we get light on the screen. I don't know, maybe I'll do this or not. We actually get light on the screen. So
nice.
it's actually playable. So that's it's a bit of a hack, but it works because you really need some good intense light to play a non-backlit Game Boy. So that was my experience. Is I thought that it was broken originally until I had to collect myself. Oh no, that's it. That's the best you're gonna do.
Yeah, it was on the listing, to be fair, on the listing. There it says like three different times. This is not backlit. Like just so you know when you get it, or like this is broken. Like, no, that's you're old now. And when you were young, it didn't I could hang off the side of the couch and lean out under the lamp. And now I'm old and I just want to sit here and play. And that doesn't work without a backlight. So luckily, I did find because I'm waiting on my EverDrive. I do still have a lot of my early Game Boy cartridges, including I don't have many Game Boy Color games, but I did have Resident Evil Gaiden, which is still in great shape, and the battery held up as well,
Oh,
which I'm
nice.
really impressed by because so for anybody who doesn't know, for saving games, there's literally a battery in some Game Boy cartridges. These have to be replaced because, like all batteries, they'll deteriorate and destroy your game. So this didn't somehow leak, even though this is like a 20-year-old cartridge now, and it still worked. There was a saved game on here. So that's amazing. This thing looks great, plays great. So this has become the test now because once I got the Game Boy, I was showing it to my wife because I was super happy that I didn't pay $500 for a Game Boy. And I could tell she was getting a little nostalgic about it. And I was like, hey, do you want a Game Boy? And she was like, no, I'm fine. Cut to later that night, she's digging out her OG 3DS that she hasn't played in years, charging that up. And I was just like, I'll get you a Game Boy. Like, I can tell when you want a Game Boy. We can play some games together. It'll be fun. She's like, okay, well, if you find one for good price. So I was like, well, let me check Amazon Renewed because they started sending me more Game Boy stuff, as Amazon is wont to do when they see that you're purchasing something. And sure enough, they had another renewed one, also listed as excellent condition, and it's the berry color, which means apparently it's like 20 or $30 cheaper than all the other listings because nobody wanted berry. Now, I don't know if you guys can see this here. This kind of reads as light, like a little lighter red than the one that Kelly has. But in reality, this is pink. And I've taken a couple of pictures of this, and you'll see one in a minute when we get to talking about the different Game Boys. But this is pink. They call it berry, but it's pink. It's kind of a dark pink, but it's a pink. Reads as red on camera, though. But you can see Kelly's is darker just to tell the difference there. See that? um, which is fine, though. I really don't care about the color of it. And this is for my wife. She didn't mind a pink one. So we got this. So I opened it up. Now, this, I do have to say, looking at the two of these, you were going to see problems with this one a lot quicker because it's translucent. So if this wasn't really cleaned out and everything, you would see that it was dirty immediately. And like I said, I had to really look for issues with this. Brand new screen protector on there. Everything was visibly cleaned out within an inch of what this plastic could take, I'm guessing, considering how old this is and how clean it looks. This one, I opened it up and was very surprised to find this looks incredibly clean on the shell. I couldn't see any dirt. There's no scuff marks. And in fact, the label on the back of it is completely intact, other than like a little bit of discoloring from age. I did notice the label on the back of this one is kind of coming off a little bit. Some people complained about that. I don't care about that so much. I guess because I'm going to be using these, it's not so much to build out a collection or anything like that. So that wasn't a big deal for me. But I was like, wow, this is in excellent shape, maybe even better shape if you care about the label, except for the screen. I don't know if it shows up really well on camera in the pictures that I sent Kelly. They did not change the screen protector on this one, and there are scratches all over the screen. That's not a huge deal. I probably couldn't rebuild this from scratch. I certainly wouldn't take it apart and clean it myself. But I know the screen protectors you can peel off and put another one on. It's just like a plastic film over the front of it. They're like $10. That's not a huge deal. But I already got another one where they did that already. So I thought that was weird. And again, I wasn't going to complain because this was significantly cheaper, even without the credits, because nobody wanted pink, I guess. So $10 for the screen protector wasn't going to be the end of the world. So I popped some batteries in there, popped in Resident Evil because it's the game that I was playing, turned it on. And this time, I was pretty sure it didn't turn on at all because I couldn't see anything on the screen. So I took out the game and I went to air dust it out. And then I was like, no, this game is perfect. I was just playing it. So I air dusted out the cartridge slot on here, popped the game in again. This time it seemed like it booted up, but everything on the screen was so faint. I could barely see it. So I started playing the game, and there's some like scan line kind of stuff that you get from an old monitor like this on here a little bit, but there is thick lines through the image in this where you can tell the monitor, the screen itself is going, and it is so faded that you can barely see color in a bright, colorful game like Resident Evil Gaiden, which does have a lot of color. You can barely see the colors. So I gave Kelly two different pictures of the opening screen of Resident Evil Gaiden from the camera at the same angle, sitting at my desk here, but with the overhead lights on, so you can really see everything on there. The same screen, and you can see the stark difference between the two of them. I don't know if the scratches come up too much in the picture, but again, that wasn't going to be a deal breaker considering how cheap this one was. But the screen not working is a deal breaker for me. Because even with under direct light onto this to where you can barely see it because the glare that's on the screen, you can barely see an image on there. It's so faded out. So obviously this is a monitor that's about to go. I know you can replace those, but again, I did order this and it said it was in excellent condition. Obviously, I rolled the dice twice, won once and lost on the other one. And this is the kind of stuff that people complain about in every other comment of it was excellent, like brand new. So this is what happens. Now, another thing that I've noticed, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't go with Amazon verified, but I did notice these are not, or I'm sorry, Amazon renewed. These are not renewed by the same people. So in the box for the Atomic Purple one was a business card for, and I'll send a picture of this as well, Cave Gamers. So I looked them up and they do sell refurbished consoles and things like that. They are not cheap. I would say they're steeper than DK Oldies, which a lot of people will put towards the higher price point on there. So this is more. But again, it's excellent condition. I don't know if they replaced the monitor itself, but the screen protectors replaced. This was clearly scrubbed out as best as they could humanly do to it. And it seems to work fine. It's still working after days of playing it. This one, not so much. So I went on the listing and they actually list in under the product details who did the refurbishing. So Amazon uses different companies to do their refurbishing, apparently. So you're getting, I think the reason you're seeing these wildly different reviews is you're getting completely different results depending on who refurbished the individual product that you're getting. So this one, the one that worked, was from Cave Gamers. This was from another company. I'm not going to post their name or anything. I'm not trying to, you know, hurt somebody's business, but not Cave Gamers gave me a screen that doesn't
Tesla. It was Tesla.
work. So this was my first time trying Amazon Renewed. I don't know if I'd do it again. It worked out the first time. I got greedy, flew too close to the sun, found another cheap, really cheap one, and was like, "This is great," and got burned on it. Now they are taking it back. I immediately complained to Amazon. I'm getting a refund and everything. So this is I'm doing the return after we record this, obviously, so that we could do this and I could send you guys some photos that Kelly can post on the screen and you guys could see the prop. But that's going back.
Yep. So I mean, very lots of learning here, folks. Tonight's show. Here's some of your key takeaways. So it sounds like so it's called Cave Gamers.
Cave Gamers.
Cave Gamers seems to be,
Mhm.
at least on a sample size of one, a pretty sound refurbisher. So if you're on Amazon Renew and you see that Cave Gamer is involved, um, might be worth a shot. Two, and this is the stunner. There are lights in the room that Mike's in that can be turned on. Who knew?
This is
Overhead
very bright.
overhead
I don't
lights that would enlighten you, which would maybe even make the Game Boy look a color it is. But who knows? But just saying that was a big thing. So those are probably the big two there. But and that apparently the Resident Evil batteries and Game Boy cartridges are darn durable.
yeah, this is I don't know what this battery was made of steel or something, but it is not only not leaking, it saved my game from like 20 years ago or whenever this came out. So thanks, Capcom.
There you
Nailed it.
go. Awesome. So
But
we'll
yeah, I don't necessarily personally I don't necessarily recommend Amazon's refurbishing. It's not them doing it, so clearly there's no way for them to put any sort of quality control over this. It's just coming from their refurbishers who I'm sure apply for that and impress them in some way. But as you can see, the wildly different reviews make more sense to me now because I ordered two different Game Boys, came from two different refurbishers, two completely different outcomes there.
if any of you have experience with using Amazon Renew, good or bad or both, as in Mike's case, love to hear from you. Let us know in the comments. To keep track of Mike's Game Boy progress, the best way to do that would be to like and subscribe to the Bug Panda channel. Possibly share this video so others can begin to learn all the things we learned today in this highly informative show. So share that video. As you're sharing it, you should probably be dressed appropriately. So check out our merch store. We've got some t-shirts in there. While I have mixed emotions on the Slapiverse for a variety of reasons. Um, I do think, at some point I need to come to terms with my mascot status. And so maybe at some point soon there'll be a Mari Who t-shirt out there,
Ah, that's good.
which would be nice. But I don't know if it'll be out there by the time the show's published. But that's why you subscribe. We'll let you know. Check it out. Check the merch store. Just go back and revisit it too. And then while you're waiting patiently for the Mari Who t-shirt to come out, listen to the world's shortest podcast, Hard No, available daily off the Bog Panda YouTube channel that you subscribe to for the low price of free.
Absolutely. And Kelly, before we let everybody go, so what about you? Do you think you would spin the wheel for an Amazon refurbished or renewed item?
It depends on the item. I have, and this will be, I guess, a mild spoiler for a future show, and reflecting some of our back show is that my strongest candidate for needing a replacement, although my Telegames Video Arcade 2600 deal, who knows, that it's going along just great. So maybe at some point I need to deal with that. But there are some options out there. But my Nintendo 64 was the one I was most worried about. One, Mike and I have been talking about 64 stuff a lot. It's getting a lot more use than it has in a long, long time. And I've gone through one already in the past. They're not always Sometimes they just kind of puke on you. Mike had sold hard. We did the, you know, skip it, list it, buy it on the Warrior 64. Mike was a buy and I was a list. And I paid the price for having it on the list because they sold out on Amazon. Mike mentioned multiple times, there's not that many out there. There's not that many. They were gone. As of this recording, the green one, which was actually Mike, said that was the wrong choice, but it was the choice I was going to go with. The green one's still not back in stock. So I guess through my inaction, I have protected myself against myself, and so there's a black one on the way. So we'll talk a little bit more there. So long way around saying the 64 would have been probably my refurbished need. I think I'm covered off there, but I guess if my telegames completely dies at some point in time, I've resurrected it once. Um, we'll have to see. I would look at it, but what I think I would try and do is see if I can connect up a review to a refurbisher so that I could at least if you're able to do that. And so like Cave Gamers would be an example. If I saw that, I'd feel a little more comfortable considering it. So I look at it, but for a lot of this stuff, you've got other options right now to accomplish it. Whether it's the 2600 plus in that space, the Warrior 64, still a few out on Amazon as of this recording. And so probably in an absolute dire situation, I would, but not going to be scanning it regularly to see what's out there, with the exception of if there was the price was right for a Virtual Boy. So much crap as we've given it, I wouldn't mind having one of those around here.
Makes sense. Well, just as a little teaser for a future episode, like Kelly said, there's other options out there. I still intend on having two Game Boys in the collection here. So I'm going with another option, which you guys will see in a future episode.
Bog Panda.